Is my sound on? Are you ready for me? Okay. Anyway, it's a joy to be back here. I love this community. You guys can feel this energy, right? This is a rare thing. I mean, I know you all feel you're in between ministers and you're struggling to find, what's happening next. But I can tell you that the energy in here is so uplifted and so aware and so conscious. You guys will attract the perfect minister, not that you even need one at this point. But this is a perfect sized community. It really is, because you're all so open-hearted and connected, and everybody laughs and plays and is, friends with each other. That's what we want in our spiritual community, right? So I was so thrilled today to be getting to talk about my favorite topic, reincarnation. And how many of you, I just wanted to start with, you're all so enlightened that I'm sure the whole room has had moments where you feel like you're with a person that you've known forever, eternally. Yes, that you just look into their eyes and you feel their essence. And it doesn't matter what physical body they have or what name they have, you have always known this person. And then how many of you have ever shown up in a place like even Arizona and suddenly felt completely familiar with the landscape, with the desert? Yeah. And so these are just little ways that we begin to believe, no matter what dogma tells us or Christianity, that, I think there's something going on much bigger than the Christian fundamentalist dogma story. So let's dig into that. I thought it was interesting that I looked it up in Webster's even, and they say reincarnation is the rebirth of a soul in a new body. And even in Webster's, they say it can be animal or human. And I thought that was fabulous, because I know my cats are my spiritual teachers. I don't know about you guys, but Jean and I live in a church of paying homage to cats. We truly do. But, back in the time of Jesus, I know that many of you know that before the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, Jesus talked about reincarnation. It was in the original Aramaic translations of the Bible. And then even though some of those passages have been kept, they've been rewritten. And what I thought was also really interesting is that in 200 AD, 200 years after Jesus was here, Christian scholar named Origen, and some of you know him, he was quite a famous writer, and he wrote extensively about the concept of reincarnation. And he truly believed it was part of what Jesus talked about. And he truly believed that it was a basic fundamental truth, part of Christianity. And he is considered still one of the most influential Christian theologians. But then in 325 AD comes along Constantine and the Council of Nicaea. And I wish somebody would make a great movie about this, because I would just love to see this play out. What Constantine said was, we got too many ideas floating around here, and we need to figure out what we're going to tell the people to believe. Seriously. Kind of sounds like politics today, right? And so the Constantine and all the bishops and everybody got together, and I'm pretty sure they were all men. Does anybody know, were there any women at the Council of Nicaea? Unlikely. Yeah. Right. And so at the Council of Nicaea, they actually banned, not just said, we don't agree with it, but they banned the idea of reincarnation. So for a while in history, if you talked about reincarnation, you could be sent to the tower, or have your head chopped off. I think I was there then. That sounds very familiar. And even the scripture that they kept, the verses were changed so much. So I was really fascinated by this one in John 9:9. And this is after, centuries and thousands of years of rewriting. It still says, And as Jesus passed by, he saw a man who was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, excuse me, Master, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? And Jesus answered, Neither has this man sinned nor his parents, but he is manifesting the works of God. And I think that's so beautiful because to me, I have often thought that those who choose a very challenging life, whether it's a health challenge or loss or poverty or any of the things that we consider very unfortunate, I hate that word, that they are more highly evolved souls than us because they've agreed to go on this accelerated growth journey. I mean, when you are born into incredible poverty or incredible sickness or very difficult health challenges, you are really seeking the deeper meaning of life because you know that it's not the story that the big world believes in. There has to be something more going on. So I bet every one of you in this audience have had moments of great loss, great challenge, or you probably wouldn't be here today at this church because it's not until life gets hard that we usually start asking the important questions. Who am I? Why am I here? Where do I go when I cross over? And where are my loved ones who cross? And why is there suffering on earth? Every theologian tries to answer that. But the thing I like to think is that imagine if we take that 30 million mile view above. I was having lunch with some of my friends, and I got to tell you, you guys know I've talked about this before. All my girlfriends have lost children. I hang out with moms from Helping Parents Heal because I think they're the most enlightened souls I've ever met. And so we were all hanging out, having lunch. And Elizabeth Boisson, who founded Helping Parents Heal, was with us. And she gave us an exercise. And she said, I want you to go around the circle and tell every person something you see about them that is magnificent. And we were all like, we thought we were just having lunch, and then all of a sudden, but it was such a great exercise. And you really got to look into that person's soul and really go, this is what I feel from you. And so many of the moms, including me, like I had this woman sitting next to me I love named Margaret, and she has always reminded me of a Native American goddess. And so as I talked, I said, when I sit next to you, Margaret, I feel like I'm back in front of my community of Apache natives, and we're all hanging out and talking, and you're the powerful mother shaman doing your sacred practices. And she goes, everybody tells me that. And all the other moms said, yes. It's like we all unconsciously knew that she was this old, sacred Native American soul. And when you really look into it, how do you feel about people in your life and go back and look beyond just this lifetime? You'll see you often feel like, hey, you were a famous shaman way back and you made music for the tribe. You just start knowing that we've all been here before. As Greg and I were talking, that great Crosby, Stills and Nash song from the early 70s or late 60s, we have all been here before. Deja Vu was the name of the album. Anybody born back then? Yeah. Okay. But they were bringing that into our consciousness as well. So I think there are these great questions to think with reincarnation, because it's one thing to say, yes, I think it's probably true. But then there's all these things. If there is a loving God consciousness, as we believe in unity, that runs this universe, and who God consciousness that lives inside of all of us, are we choosing to come back? Or is there some God consciousness person telling us you have to go back? Because that right there is what I think is wrong with most of our definitions or understandings of reincarnation. We start putting it into the Christian theology of punishment. And even the Buddhists, because I've studied Buddhism extensively, they talk about an endless loop of inescapable karmic cycles of rebirth. Does that sound like hell to you? Yeah. And even some Buddhist teachers talk about, the only way to break the karmic cycle of rebirth is to live this perfect life. Well, I don't even think Buddhist teachers are capable of living a perfect life. And so you think about all of us going, you cross over and you go, oh no, when I was a kid, I stole that piece of candy and now I have to go back. No, I don't think it works that way. In fact, I know it doesn't. So I'm just going to say that. So how does my soul decide when I cross over? And the quantum physicists come into this. So let me just talk about that. The great thing about modern science is that in the laboratory, the quantum physicists are now 100% clear that everything here is energy, even the chair you're sitting on, and that energy cannot be created or destroyed. So if you acknowledge that you are an energy being, a being of light, then you already know you cannot be created or destroyed. Therefore, you know that you're an eternal being and that there is no death, and that it's up to us here on earth to learn to shift our consciousness enough to see and understand this higher vibrational world where our departed loved ones are and our guides and our counsel. And another thing to ask yourself is, when I cross over, how will I look at this life? If my soul is in charge, as I personally believe it is, but of course we're all connected too, so we're in it for the collective. If I cross over and I review my life and I go, wow, I was afraid most of that life. I didn't love as well as I should have. In fact, I was afraid to love. Won't I feel inspired or compelled to try to come back and love freely and learn to do that here in the physical world? Or might my soul decide that I'm going to hang out in the divine realms and study and learn and evolve more there, and even help from those realms, help the people here on the physical realm, which is considered the hardest realm of all, is where we are. So what I've believed, because I have the great gift of near-death experiences, share-death experiences, and I'm a soul regression therapist. So practically every day, I get to bring a client on a deep meditation to journey into the divine realms, to meet their guides, have a conversation, dive into a significant past life, and then come back and they report it. I'm guiding them. I'm just the tour guide, and they report their experience. And it's transcendent. These are people who maybe in their regular life are successful business people, but they're having something happen in their life that's making them question reincarnation. And they go on this guided thing. And the most amazing part of it is that they see and feel and experience these common themes that I hear from almost every client. So for example, the guides will, when we get, no, this is how I believe it works when we die. We leave the body, we go into the divine realms. It's a place of unconditional love, unlike anything we have here on earth. So we're instantly free of all pain, all anxiety, all physical ailment. Just breathe into that memory. We are pure, shining beings of light. And without these bodies, nothing stops that light. We are just absolutely radiant, wise, and loving. And then we go and we meet with our other souls that we've incarnated with in many lifetimes. And we might say, how did you think I did down there? Should I have done something a little different, a little better, and have some conversations about it? And also be held by the spirit guides and the angels to examine your life from a place of wisdom. And what I mean by that is people who have died and come back to life, there are so many, and they talk about the journey of being held by beings of light and shown their whole life story, but this time seeing the backstory of everyone they interacted with. So if a drunk driver killed your child in this life and you go to do that soul review, you suddenly understand the deeper layers of soul agreements and backstories that led to that moment. And this is why when we talk about forgiveness, true forgiveness is not about saying, oh, I know you did something wrong, but I forgive you. That's not forgiveness. True forgiveness is from that 30-mile view, 30 million mile view of the divine realms. I understand that everyone here on earth is doing exactly the best they can from their level of awareness, and that there's never anything to forgive. But we're still human. So I see you shaking your heads. People will make you mad because you're still human. You will have people you want to blame because you're still human. In fact, I was blaming the truck drivers on the road here today. Why are they going so fast? Oh my gosh. But as soon as we come out of that moment of blame, we can begin to say, wait a minute, let me lift up above this. Let me go back to that soul review perspective, that 30 million mile perspective. All I ever have to worry about down here is keeping my light shining, keeping my heart open, loving the best that I can, forgiving, being compassionate, no matter how hard it gets. Can you hear me now? Yep. All right. So Dr. Raymond Moody, we know, coined the idea of near-death experience and shared death experience. And when I've been here before, I've talked about my shared death experiences where my beloved would die and then take me on a journey into the divine realms and show me the world from their perspective. Have any of you ever experienced that? Yes. Yes. And what did you learn for sure about that? That the soul is eternal, right? And amazing love. And the amazing love, the amazing love. And I know I've talked about it before, but even if you've been suffering right up into the moment you die, because both my husband, Paul, was suffering terribly with colon cancer right up until the moment he died, and my best girlfriend, Chrissy, was suffering terribly with leukemia. The minute they were free of their body, they came, and my father as well, he had lung cancer and he left his body before they even declared him dead. They were giving him CPR and he had already come to me in my meditation looking 20, 30 years younger, happy, joking with me. And Chrissy as well instantly kept me all night traveling with her in the realms and making me laugh so hard my stomach hurt. And Paul coming and getting in bed with me that night and cuddling and telling me he was fine until a being of light tapped him and said, okay, you got to move on, keep going. And so what we get from those beautiful experiences is a cellular knowing that not only are they doing great, but they're doing better than us most of the time because they're living in that world of unconditional love. And we're down here in the mud. This is the realm that we're trying to push the heaviness away. We're trying to bring the light into it. We're trying to make this realm as light and love filled as the divine realms. And the only way we do that, I believe, is by living here on earth from that 30 million mile perspective, right? So asking yourselves those bigger questions, not getting, all of us get so sucked down in that daily grind, right? Whether it's the traffic, the job that sucks our soul away, the relationship that we think is killing us, our health concerns. These are all part of everybody's life. But the perspective that we look at it from determines if we're the light carrier or not. Because you can be as negative and lost and dark as anybody here. And in the next moment, You can just suddenly start seeking a different answer, a higher wisdom, a brighter light, and you are lifted up vibrationally by the souls and spirits who are always trying to help us. And you're reclaiming your power as a divine being on earth, not a human, a divine being. So the Dalai Lama has said that experienced meditators can deliberately induce the near-death experience during meditation and sustain it to have a transcendent experience. How many of you meditate every day? Come on, people. There are so many benefits to quieting the mind, because the only thing blocking us here is that crazy monkey human mind that goes, worry about this, worry about that. This is your anxiety. Be afraid of this. Once we quiet that, once we use mantra, prayer, silence, whatever works for us, suddenly we can have what he calls the transcendent experience of leaving the body and traveling to the divine. I do that as often as I can. I got to tell you, it's like the best vacation ever. So, and I'm so blessed because I get to personally know people from speaking at conferences, like the amazing Mark Anthony, Oxford educated attorney, author of The Afterlife Frequency. He's so brilliant. I interviewed him on my Mystical Conversation podcast. If you ever want to go and hear some of these discussions, I have a podcast called Mystical Conversations. And I got to interview Mark Anthony, and he says, physical death is not the end of existence, just as the setting of the sun on the horizon is not the end of the day. It is simply a transition from one form of consciousness to another. But most brilliantly in his book, he created the term electromagnetic soul. He says that this describes what we really are: eternal consciousness of pure electromagnetic energy. This is agreed by the quantum physicist. So science and religion do merge at the highest frequencies. So think of yourself as an electromagnetic soul. You're not just a body. You are a vibrating, pulsing ray of gorgeous light. Electromagnetic soul. Can an electromagnetic soul die? No. So, what are the ways that we clarify this for ourselves? Signs from our departed. Once again, I'm going to ask you, how many of you have had great signs from your departed? Yeah, you guys are such a good audience. And I get, I urge you to go, and if you can, go do either do your own guided meditation of going into the divine, into a past life, or go and have someone guide you through it, because it is such a real and visceral experience that you come out of it with no doubt that, yes, I was in that lifetime. And the person that I'm now grieving for, they were in it too. And we had a whole different kind of relationship. And now I understand so much better why they had to leave early in this life. There are so many aha moments that come from that kind of experience. I have a new book coming out in June called Through a Divine Lens. And I have about 20 transcripts of my clients that I've taken on these journeys and what their experiences were. And I'm not the only book. There's so many authors out there that have done that. And it is so fascinating. So here's what I believe. And I think I'm going to guide us on a meditation and take us there in a moment. But I believe that when we do cross, we are so filled with love and light that we instantly know that whatever we did here on earth was the best we could do. We don't feel guilt, and yet we do feel wisdom. And we do feel like, well, perhaps now what I want to do to make up for that is be a teacher here from the divine, or help souls when they cross over. Or if I'm really brave, drop back in and try to help other people down there. But it's never out of guilt. It's never out of a sense of, oh, I did something wrong and now I've got to go down there and try to redo it. That becomes that Buddhist idea of endless cycles of karma, which to me is exactly like what the Christians are talking about with hell. So delete that idea and instead empower yourself to know that your soul is eternally wise, eternally aware, eternally filled with unconditional love, and that your soul might consult with a council of highly evolved souls. Your soul might consult with spirit guide, and it might consult with your departed loved ones and go, how do you guys think I did? What do you think I should do now? But ultimately, it's your soul choosing. God is in you, and you, and you, and you, and you. And that Godness in all of us is choosing for highest good every moment. So your homework. Oh, and does this go with unity principle? Of course it does. Of course, you all know that unity principles say this is an all good, all God universe, right? So in that world, could there possibly be an endless cycle of karmic reincarnation? No. Could there be a punishing God that sends us to hell? No. We are so lucky here at Unity, so blessed, because I think we know the highest, truest spiritual principles of any religion. Or I wouldn't be a Unity minister if I didn't truly believe that. So imagine a world where we view our lives and other people's lives, that's the trick, from the 30 million mile high view. We live in a state of constant love, forgiveness, compassion, even for ourselves. This is the world of God, reincarnation, and the eternal soul. So shall we do a little meditation? Thank you. All right, everybody take a deep breath. Take a deep breath with me. And again. And now just imagine that beautiful golden globe of light that is the essence of your electromagnetic soul. It's pulsing and glowing above your crown chakra. And now you're just letting this golden light come down through your forehead, your mind, just releasing and relaxing all the thoughts of the day. Filling your mind, your face, your eyes, your mouth with your higher divine golden consciousness. And the golden light moves down through the throat, relaxing and opening the chest, opening to expand, to feel and give unconditional love. The golden light of star electromagnetic beingness, moving down, opening the rib cage so you can breathe freely of ribs. Who needs ribs? We just want to expand our beautiful breath. And the golden light moves down, relaxing the abdomen, opening the hips, filling every muscle, cell, bone, tissue of the body with starry golden light. Imagine golden stars shooting from your fingers, from your hands. And the golden light moves down through your legs, replacing any achiness, any pain. You are taking your last human breaths as we gracefully and shimmeringly lift up above the body. That beautiful release into the divine realms. And as you float free, you're greeted with unconditional love by all those you miss who've crossed already. You can just take a moment and kiss them and feel them with you. And now you're entering all of the beautiful sacred spaces in the divine, where you might have a guide coming forward to stand in front of you, or God, whatever words you want to put to it. And just be in that loving, unconditional state with that being of God consciousness in front of you. Absorb that love. You have done nothing wrong. You have always been aware, alive, and filled with love. Even when you forgot, it was still your true nature. Absorb that unconditional forgiveness and compassion for yourself. And now be in the silence with me for a moment as we just bask in the golden light of unconditional love. Now you can take a deep breath and inhale again as you just fill yourself again with that golden love, that golden light. And you just feel that breath filtering back into your body, helping you feel that you're back in your body, but this time completely aware of the golden light of your divinity, of your powerful, unconditionally loving heart, filling the space of you and filling the space of everyone. So it is. Thank you.